you say whatever speech you got rehearsed. Get this over with.
Welcome to Between the Joysticks. Press start and then we're off. Nick and John, they've got the sauce. Breaking news and some hot takes. Even if there's some mistakes, Nick is captaining the ship, while John gives thoughts straight from the hip. But when their powers combine, we're all in for a hell of a time. Between the Joysticks is the best. Up to 6 things they will address. Tell all your friends and settle in. Between the Joysticks now begins.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 138 of the video game podcast Between the Joysticks. I'm your host, Nick, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, John. We apologize. It's been 2 weeks since we last recorded, John.
Yep. Nick doesn't have legs anymore. Like, he had to get his legs amputated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
Oh, dark.
Well, I mean, you don't want to say it, so I figured I would.
That's not what really happened. The more the honest answer is just life happens, right?
Life.
We can't. Sometimes it's like we can only schedule this one day in this week to enter the recording studio, and it doesn't work out for one of us, and then it just snowballs, right? Like we've had weeks like this in the past, and
Yeah, and when Nick said life happened, it's my life happened. I am now coach of not one but 2 baseball teams for my kid, and so the week seems to get smaller and smaller and smaller when it comes to fun things to do with your friends.
right.
So sorry, but here we are.
Yeah, no, we do apologize for all of our listeners because a lot has happened over the last 2 weeks. So
almost makes me think we should go bi-weekly all the time, man. We'll have some sick episodes.
Yeah, we'll have some 4-hour episodes. It'll be great. So we'll order a pizza and just keep going.
I miss like just those nights where you have no obligations. You're with your friends. You're ordering pizza. You can stay up till 2. And yes, I'm describing the standard high school sleepover with your friends, but it's good stuff. Don't do that anymore.
It was, and you just recovered from everything. You ate a whole pizza,
you don't
2 liter of Mountain Dew, and you're just like, I'm fine.
Guilt, right? No guilt. Right?
Right.
I can eat this whole pizza. I'll feel fine. Now I'm just like, I shouldn't be crying while I eat it. I shouldn't be eating this.
This is going right
It's
to
so
my belly.
It's so delicious, though. Yeah.
So I'm thinking because we have a whopping 7 things, we're going above our normal 6 things.
Is that the first time?
No, I'm sure we have,
Yeah.
and we cheat a little bit by combining things into one super thing. But I think we should just get into the show. Get this party started.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have legs, so you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, I'm stuck here. So, all right, this is how the show normally works. John and I both bring up the 3 things to talk about. It can be a news item. It can be a topic. It can be a video game we're playing, but it could also be from you, the listener. You can write in and be heard on this show. That email address is betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com. The Twitter is JoysticksPod. You can DM us there. And then you can also comment on our YouTube page. That YouTube page is at Between the Joysticks. Any of those things, we can bring it and we can talk about it.
We'll talk it.
And I'm going to start off, John. Do you want to play a game?
Not anymore.
What's your best Jigsaw impression?
Do you want to play a game?
That's pretty good. You got to get the raspy old man voice.
That was straight off the memory of not seeing a Saw movie in 10 years also. So hopefully.
And not to make this the 4-hour podcast I mentioned, but how do you feel about the Saw franchise? I know you love movies.
I love
horror movies. I know Saw was of an era.
Saw 1 is really, really good. I don't ever think of it enough, but when I do, I go, yeah, that was fucking great. The rest of it can go away.
Yeah.
Like it's any horror franchise that exceeds the number 2 or like name me a good horror 3 or beyond. I don't know if there are any. There probably are. You might have some out there.
I mean, you like the most recent Alien movie?
Yeah, I was gonna say if you count that,
if they do like that kind of like soft reboot, it can work. But
it's not really horror, but Prey, the new Predator movie was pretty dope.
Right.
But yeah, that's more like monster thriller type thing. But so yeah, Saw 1 is a all-time twist. kind of, and it's more cerebral. You're thinking about a lot more than just like what's going to be the next gross thing, as opposed to, those where you're jumping into a pit full of needles or, other nonsense.
Right, your head getting crushed or
Yes.
all the other gross things.
Dig
they
inside your body and get this key. Yeah.
So I'm asking you that, John, because I brought a dice.
Okay.
And I like this. John is scared now. He's going to be in his own Saw game.
Is this how we pick the topics?
It is how we pick the topics, all right? So
All right.
I have assigned all of our topics, the 6 main topics. We'll save The Last of Us
I was
chat.
about to say poor number 7.
The Last of Us chat for the very end because that is very spoiler heavy. But we have 6 topics, and the dice is going to determine which one we do.
Did you keep that in your pocket all day?
I did. I wasn't afraid. I was afraid to show everyone. So
Wow.
it's another I think you should leave joke. Every time you don't understand what we're talking about, just know it's
Just know it's from that, and you have failed us and Tim Robinson by not watching it at this point.
Correct.
By not being curious about any of our references up to this point.
All right. So are you ready, John? I'm going to kick things off.
Yeah, it's going to be a 4. Feeling a 4.
Oh, you're going with 4? All right.
I'm going 4. Ooh.
Ooh, it's a 1. All right. So we're going in order so far. Number 1 is the Nintendo Switch 2 update, John.
Yeah, update time. Kind of boring, but this is actually a good number 1 to kind of just get the info out there. So, as everybody kind of knows, the Nintendo Switch 2 had its nice big reveal earlier in the month on April 2nd. We got the full details on the machine. Maybe not full details, but enough to kind of satisfy people's curiosity and make those pre-orders. We saw the big game, Donkey Kong Bonanza, but one of the craziest things that I've ever seen in this industry is that they effectively pulled that pre-order date just due to the economic instabilities of the world right now. So we've been all kind of waiting. Is Nintendo going to raise the price to counteract tariffs? What are they going to do to make this work? And we luckily have some information direct from Nintendo now, just to kind of see where this launch of this thing is going to stand. So as directly from Nintendo, retail pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch 2 will begin on April 24th now. At launch, the price of the Nintendo Switch 2 in the US will remain at an announced $449, and the Nintendo Switch plus Mario Kart World bundle will remain as announced at $499. Pricing for both physical and digital versions of Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza will also remain unchanged at launch. So, stop right there. That's obviously the big stuff that people want to know. Were they going to jump this thing up from the $449? What are your thoughts on that, Nick? I personally, I can't believe that they kind of just kept it, but obviously this is good for the consumer.
Yeah, I mean, you once you set that price, it's very hard to go up. I know that the other console makers have been doing that in other countries, and it's just not good PR. And you want this thing to hit the ground running, right? You're coming out later than your competitors, and I'll put competitors in quote because Nintendo just does its own thing. And yeah, you're launching this summer, and you want the buy-in. You want this thing sold out. You want it in everyone's hands. You want those people hyping it up. So this fall and winter and Christmas is very good for you. So just bite it and know that you're Nintendo. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
you'll sell enough copies of Mario Kart to justify whatever loss you might be taking on the console this June. So.
And I'm not sure if I said this on the top, these are specifically U.S. prices. So anybody outside that country, there is differences. I know we have our wonderful New Zealand listener, 799 New Zealand dollars there, which currency conversion is about 459 USD. So just a little bit of an increase, which is good. But that's kind of where the bad news or the good news ends, because they did have to figure something out. And basically what they've done is they've raised the price on every single accessory that they could. So going back to straight from Nintendo, however, Nintendo Switch 2 accessories will experience price adjustments from those announced on April 2nd due to changes in market conditions. Other adjustments to the price of any Nintendo product are also possible in the future, depending on market conditions. We apologize for the retail pre-order delay, yada, 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 yada. I'm not going to go through all of these because I don't think anybody cares what the Joy-Con 2 strap cost is, but a couple big ones there, Nick. Joy-Cons.
And I'm an idiot. This is tomorrow.
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
I was like,
So I guess you're not getting one.
not through Nintendo. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
not through, yeah. But obviously, the accessories are going to include controllers, the camera, things like that. But 95 bones, 95 big ones, Nick, for a new set of Joy-Cons, which is, I remember when the Joy-Cons themselves for the Nintendo Switch were set at 70. That was a big jump up for people. So 95 is pretty nuts for a pair of standard controllers.
I swear I don't have kids, but if my kids fuck up any of these accessories,
Yeah.
they're big time grounded.
You better wait for your birthday. You better hope that or that Easter bunny.
You lose
nice.
that left Joy-Con.
Yeah.
we're gonna have a problem.
But yeah, I mean, it's everything from the Joy-Cons, the charging grips, the Pro controller, dock set, AC adapters. Everything's getting a little bit of a bump, but I do think they're all within that like $5 to $10 increase range. Nothing's getting like doubled in price. Nothing's going bananas like that. But yeah, I mean, I guess just kind of good news. I don't know if it really does. Were you going to get one of these, Nick? I know you were kind of been wishy-washy, and I don't know where you.
I have a partner who is interested. She wants it.
For what?
Just to play games.
Yeah.
She likes Mario Party. She likes the Nintendo style of games. They're more her wheelhouse. So
The Switch magic continues. And
Right.
That's why they sold so many kids and spouses, man. Kids and spouses.
yeah. So yeah, she's expressed interest in like we talked about with this when we were talking about the pricing in general. I mean, I could get one, and if she for whatever reason is like I'm not for this, it's just not my thing, I could sell it and make my money back.
Dude, I'll buy it from you.
Yeah, there you
it'd
go.
be something like that.
So, like I said, I'm not gonna be like stressing out about it. Like we talked about that console buying anxiety that comes with trying to pre-order this and then ultimately trying to get one. So I'm not gonna go that far, but I'll dabble. I'll try and pay attention to when pre-orders are live with the other retailers and then go from there. And
yeah. Well, and it is good that Nintendo does seem to have some things in play to curb scalpers and curb things like that. Specifically, if you're going directly through them, you need to have an active Nintendo account. I believe they're looking for 50 hours of playtime on that account as well, which is not a lot at all, but at least it's something where it's like, hey, this is active. And that's good because I was just seeing here, Nick, 4 hours ago from NintendoLife.com says, major French retailer says Switch 2 pre-orders at, and I quote, historic levels. So this thing is going to be, it's not, it's going to be every bit as popular as the first one, at least for now. We'll see what the legs do, but that that $450 price point, man. It's the same thing that happened with the PS5 Pro. People freaking out, $700. Are you serious? Like this thing's you're not going to be able to sell these things if you want to. It's like they'll be fine.
there's weirdly a market for everything right now.
But so yeah, obviously we'll keep track of this with the launch of the Switch 2 on June 5th. It's going to be a lot of content and stuff for us to cover then. But right now, obviously, we're just kind of in the holding pattern, see how the pre-orders go here over the next couple days. And then, I imagine there'll be probably, do you think there'll be there'll be a Nintendo Direct right around like that June E3 time, I would think, right? Like right at the launch and like maybe talk about, like when do they start talking about?
It's interesting because June 5th is the launch of this thing.
Right.
June 6th is Summer Game Fest, and June 8th is the Xbox Showcase. So, I mean, it's a big week of fucking video games.
Yeah. I wonder if they maybe just wait for Donkey
they're
Kong
usually,
to come out.
And maybe the show will be different, but they're usually in the July. They kind of come later after or later June,
which is when Bonanza comes out.
There's potential for that or their Sony competitor with that every September they have.
Yeah. I wonder. I mean, being that we just got a mini direct for Mario Kart, I wonder if they're gonna want to do like kind of a similar thing with Donkey Kong, but also maybe rope in like, hey, we're gonna have a release date from Metroid because we don't have that yet, right?
Correct.
So we're gonna have that and maybe
so I would expect
more.
some kind of late summer direct to kind of again flesh out those release dates and get you, because again this thing will sell right out of the gate, but what does the holiday look like? I'm sure it'll be strong too, but you do want to have those games and that keep that appetite going for Switch 2 sales. So
yeah, well, it'll be all anybody's talking about come here in June. So, any other thoughts on the Switch, Nick?
No, like I said, we'll be talking about it a lot. So,
all I know, I can tell you this: Nintendo wants everybody to be really excited about that chat feature they got going on. They show that thing off all the fucking time.
Yes, they do.
So,
but again, it has their Nintendo like spin on it. It's again. They believe this thing to be a social console, right? You're supposed to take this thing on the roof of the building you live in and play with your other people. That party social setting, and the Switch 2 has a lot of those features that we talked about, game sharing and all that stuff that pushes that idea further. So I'm not surprised.
It is something that I can like. Okay, I am a cynical, disgruntled old man. I'm not playing with Mario Kart with buddies, but like looking at my son and being able to not only talk to your friends but visualize your friends and see them freak out when you hit them with a lightning bolt. Like, it is going to be a great feature for kids who like to play those kind of Smash Brothers and Mario Kart and things like that. So good on you, Nintendo. Can't believe the price didn't go up, at least here in the U.S. I do feel bad, though, a little bit, Nick. Being that the United States is like the world's biggest gaming market, I feel like we let the world take a lot of our punches for us sometimes, and that does kind of suck. And if you're not living in the United States, listening to me right now, I am being genuine. Don't think I'm just kind of like just saying things, because it does suck. Like, it's not fair, but, capitalism
way
is
out of
capitalism.
our hands, yeah.
So. All right.
All right.
You going to pick that die back up?
All right. Well, you want to roll it?
Yeah, I want to roll it.
Okay. Well, here's the other stipulation on this. All right. So one has already been used, right? If you roll a 1 twice after this is already twice in a row.
Strip podcast?
What's that?
Strip podcast?
Strip podcast. No, the podcast ends.
What?
The podcast will end.
Okay.
So if you roll a 1 twice in a row after now, the podcast will end.
Okay. Wow. Is this Nick 2.0? Like, what is this?
I said do you want to play a game?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess I should have adhered to the rules or know that there was a twist at the end of it. All right, so if I get a 1 right now, the podcast doesn't end, but if I get a 1 after
you roll it twice in a row.
All right.
Which statistically is not likely, but here we go.
All right. Work safe.
All right. He got a 5, and so we'll move on to our 5th topic, and this is from Star Wars Celebration. We knew this was coming, but we got a tease of what is coming from Bit Reactor, which is made up of XCOM, Firaxis developers, and Respawn, famed developer of the Jedi series, Apex series. Just top tier developer. That they're making Star Wars Zero Company. And this is a game coming in 2026. This is basically XCOM meets Star Wars. Every element of that game, the tactical gameplay, the you're playing on percentages and line of sight, the base building, the relationships, permadeath, all that is here, but with the Star Wars
skin
coat of paint. Yeah, skin. This is taking place during the Clone Wars, so that prequel, around the second movie in the prequels, and has all the characters you would expect: bounty hunters, Mandalorians, droids, Jedi, the whole gambit here. And there's not much to say here. Like I said, it sounds exactly what it is, and they didn't show too much of it, and it's coming out next year, so we got plenty of time to think more about it. But John, did you try playing the XCOM games at all?
I tried playing XCOM 2 specifically. XCOM 1 I missed. It was I believe it eventually came to consoles, but I don't think it was there initially. And XCOM 2 got a lot of praise. It was a high 80s open critic game, and so wanted to at least dabble with it because I'm not very familiar with these type of games. But it was quickly evident that wasn't really for me. I mean,
did you try Mario and Rabbids at all?
Yep. I also did that one.
Okay.
I like that one a little bit more, but I also it's what happens. It's the same loop as puzzle games where it's like I like the intro levels, I like getting things done, but the moment they throw like these 8 different wrinkles at me, I just go,
right.
No. No, and so and then you add in the element of like, cool, you have a 96% chance for a critical strike, and then you miss, and you're just like,
Right.
are you fucking like? That's one thing in a game like Disco Elysium where you get a funny outcome because of it, but like when you just get your head blown off or something, then you're like, God,
Right.
damn it,
Right.
dude, I can't. So,
These games can get very stressful very fast when
Yes.
things start spiraling out of control, and
and I feel like it always starts when you miss a shot like that. You're
Right,
like, oh fuck,
right.
I knew for sure that was going to happen, and it didn't, and then you got to scramble.
Right.
But I know you were into one of them.
Yeah,
more than the
I've
other.
played the first XCOM more than once, so that's a good. For me, that's a good sign. If I play through a game and I'm like, oh, I want to play through it again.
I'd say so.
But yeah, XCOM 2 never stuck with me. I tried it a little bit and I couldn't get I couldn't get the snowball churning enough where my run felt really good. But yeah, I like the idea of this concept a lot. I like base building is just one of those stupidly addicting things that gets me every time, is like planning my base out and efficiencies and where I'm going to spend my resources as far as research and tech and all that.
I wonder if you were a PC gamer, if you'd be like a Factorio guy.
Maybe. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
wonder.
I was definitely a Civilization player a long time ago, but I definitely moved away from a lot of those games. They're just too slow for me. But no, this is cool. This is an exciting idea, and if they can bring a little more to the table than just the Star Wars,
I'm sure they will.
Star Wars skin, then it could be. I mean, the genre is there, right? I know Marvel Midnight Suns didn't set the world on fire because it was like that card-based version of this, but I really enjoyed that game as well, and so.
I mean, I think one of the most exciting things about this, and I'm a self-proclaimed non-Star Wars fan, but we are on the release day after of Andor Season 2, and that thing is getting dumb good reviews. Like, everybody's saying it's like one of the best Star Wars stories that's ever been told. It's dark, it's gritty. So, I mean, I think it's just it's a good time for the franchise. It's a good time to have more, like, because this is an adult-oriented thing, right? This is not meant
right.
for kids who just want to go shoot stormtrooper or be a stormtrooper and shoot people,
Right?
Or miss people, and so it's just I feel like the franchise, is franchise the right word? I'm just having a hard time finding the word that
No,
I
you're
want.
good.
But Star Wars seems to be coming up a little bit right now. Like it dipped with like the Acolyte and the sequel trilogy and whatnot, but like. And The Mandalorian started to rebound it. Book of Boba Fett was but like it seems like Andor is catapulting it up to that. Like, it's going to get Emmy nominations. It's going to be mainstream success, and so to like kind of have something released alongside of it that also fits more in the adult orientated thing, I think it's good. And not to derail this conversation even more, but like I see the MCU doing the same thing, where it's like Thunderbolt seems to be okay. We got to grow up with our audiences now, and it seems like some of these. Franchises are taking note of that, and while it might not be the entire direction of the franchise, but they recognize that like we can't just make everything the way it was of like this dumb humor and lightheartedness. Like, we can maybe do both, and so
Right.
hopefully that fits that for you.
Right, and we're getting a Mandalorian and Grogu movie next year too, so it would be great if they could time it around that.
I mean,
to have that
this
cross
kind of
synergy.
pretty good for. I imagine DLC is a very not easy thing to do for a game like this, but easier than some.
Right, but yeah, an exciting idea and a very interesting time in the Star Wars universe. There's going to be plenty of ideas that you can build off of here, and characters and stuff like that. So it's rich with that stuff. So
I like the name too, Zero Company. I don't know, seems very good, Star Warsy.
yes,
Good name.
yeah. Mm-hmm. So all right, so we can move on.
I just want to see you up. Well, that's the show.
All right.
A lot more things to discuss.
So
with
1
you.
and 5 are taken. To catch everyone up, let's move on.
Ooh,
4.
All right, cool.
All right. 4 is involving Ghost of Yotei. Just announced. This is a hot topic. Just announced today. Ghost of Yotei. Do you want to finish that thought there?
Yeah, South Park reference. I'm just, sorry.
Ghost of Yotei is coming this October 2nd. And we'll kind of get into a little bit of marathon discussion.
I can already see your smile. I can already see it. I already know where his head is.
Because this is coming out a week after Marathon is releasing. And we'll talk about Marathon a little more. It is one of the numbers, but it feels like deja vu we're at right now. Last fall, a little known game called Concord came out. Did very well. Very successful game. Still out now. Concord was shut down 12 days later. And,
so insane.
And that was another Sony PlayStation published game, just like Marathon is, just like Ghost of Yotei is. But that didn't sting that much because 2 weeks later, Astrobot came out. And Astrobot, Game of the Year nominee, Game of the Year winner, kind of, eased that blow, like, oh, yeah, Sony's releasing these bad multiplayer shooters, but here we have, Sony's bread and butter, a first-person top tier project, and we're in the same boat now because I fully expect Ghost of Yotei to be a Game of the Year candidate. That it's happening all over again, and I don't know. That's funny because
Go ahead.
because I predicted this when they announced the Marathon release date. I had texted John jokingly that don't worry about the Marathon release date because Ghost of Yotei is coming out a week later.
I'll do it verbatim. Hold on. So on April 12th at 2:32 p.m., 11 days ago, Marathon is out September 26th, same day as Borderlands 4. Seems like there is going to be a price as you can wishlist it, but don't worry, Ghost will be out the next week. And then I say, wait, what? Where are you seeing Ghost stuff? Or was that a joke that was hard to get via text? And you go, yes, it was a joke, just like Astrobot eased the Concord blow. You nailed it, dude. That was a good one. You nailed it.
So we don't really need to talk about the game itself because, we talked about, and I don't think did they mention the price in this? Because I know we were joking it might be $80.
No.
Pre-orders are live May 2nd.
70.
So.
It's 70.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, that's good news. So we thought that it might be a $80 game, but Sony's not following suit just yet.
Deluxe version for $80, and then it looks like there's a collector's edition. I don't know, $250 for that, and you get some crazy looking mask.
Yeah. But yeah, we're already hyped for the game day one. Easy, right? But let's just briefly talk. We'll talk more about Marathon specifically, but how do you feel about this kind of, like I said, this deja vu we're getting again with two Sony first-party games pretty much back-to-back?
Yeah, I think it's smart in a way. I don't think there's very much overlap at all when it comes to people that are, maybe that's not the right thing to say. Like, there's going to be people that are both excited for Marathon or Ghost of Yotei, right? But the way that a game like Marathon operates, assuming it's good, assuming it's something people want to play, and we can talk more about that later. But if it is, it's a game you can jump in, do some matches, jump out, and so I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be trying to choose one over the other. Also because Marathon is seemingly not a full-priced game. But yeah, I would, if I was Sony, I'd be terrified of this live service thing that they have going forward. So if we can position it to soften the PR blow to immediately just kind of get back into the game of your conversation, it obviously worked at once, so why not try it again? And I don't personally think Marathon is going to be anywhere near the type of failure that Concord was. But
we'll talk more about that.
Yeah,
later.
we can talk.
I'm just specifically this release order. We famously will always, and I know they were intersecting with each other. The Electronic Arts Titanfall 2 Battlefield releasing 2 weeks from each other. That was a terrible idea.
Yeah. Honestly, if I was Sony though, I'm not worried. Obviously, they're not worried about this because they're the ones who pulled the trigger. But it's a little impressive to me that they're like, all right, fuck Grand Theft Auto. We just got to put dates out there, specifically with Marathon, because that is something that is a game that will just destroy Marathon if it releases in late September, which the 5 did. So that's a risk. That's a risky week, right? Like that. We don't know when Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming, but
Borderlands 4 is a 2K game. One would presume 2K will not pull a Sony or an Electronic Arts.
Good point. Good point.
And do the same thing of we're going to cannibalize Borderlands 4 by releasing Grand Theft Auto within its within whatever window.
Good point.
But
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. It seems to be some like strategy that they want to maybe. I wonder if we'll see the same thing with Fair Games. Whenever Fair Games gets announced, it's like
Wolverine in the next week later.
I mean, assuming they get more data from this one of like, oh, that was a good thing to do, or maybe it didn't matter or whatever.
Right.
But interesting.
Part of me just says it's never a good idea. Mindshare is everything, and when I'm seeing like if I'm not you or me who's making our decision already because we know video games and we know our taste. But I don't know if I'm watching SportsCenter and an ad for Marathon's coming up, followed up by a Ghost. Like, Sony's paying for both of those.
True.
And like, why? Yeah, why? Like, why distract?
Why
your
not
audience?
stretch them out more? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just going to come down to them being very different games. I mean, the number one example that I always think about with cannibalization and dumb planning is Titanfall 2 and Battlefield, right? That was the one that was like, how did you guys think that was a good idea? Because those are two of the exact same games, right? And what I'm referring to is when Titanfall 2 got released, EA decided to release Battlefield a week later, and so it just basically curbed that.
Did I not mention that earlier?
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, sorry. I was probably reading while you did it. So sorry. But I don't think I think Marathon is just existing. If it works, it will just exist in its own little world that is not going to be impacted by outside single player games, I guess. Not saying it's a great idea to do it, but I can understand the logic of trying to do it. And yeah, but it does seem like, are you guys scared? Like, and that's not a good optic to have as a company. Like,
yeah,
why else do it?
And Marathon's not a Sony exclusive. It's coming to PC and Xbox. So, yeah, it's not 1-to-1 or like it's not just all relying on PlayStation gamers to spend possibly in a week $120 if Marathon's $50,
right?
And this is $70. But yeah, it's an interesting choice, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I'll have more thoughts about how I think this is going to play out when we talk about Marathon.
Yeah, it's just interesting, right? When you see all these reports of like, 1 out of every 10 minutes of video game time was played with Fortnite, right? Or you look at the sales of God of War 2018 and you see like, yeah, it sold 25 million, which is great, but then there's 120 million PS4s out there, and you're like, who's not buying this? And so it could be one of those things too. It's like single player games are great, and it's gonna sell a buttload in the front end, but those same players are just not like, it's just, I don't know. They have more data than we obviously do, but interesting nonetheless.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. We can go to our next topic. John, you take fate into your hand and roll that die.
1, 4, 5.
2, 3, and 6 are still available.
Right. Okay. So 1, 4, 5. Got it. Not to get. Shit.
Okay. He rolled a 5.
Make it a 5.
If we roll another 5, the show is over.
We're going home.
Oh my God! Pressure's on.
All right.
He rolled another 5. And I'm joking. We don't have to end the show.
You just wanted to see if it would happen. All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if it would happen.
Bad luck is on my side. 5.
Wow, 5 3 times in a row.
So that's what? That's 6 times 6. So 1 in 36 to get it twice in a row. So whatever 36 times 6 is.
Wow, we need to get you to the craps table. He rolled 4 5s in a row.
Rolling 7s, baby. 4. You sure want me to roll? 4. The show has ended 3 times. 3.
All right. Okay, 3 is Marathon. So
all right, perfect.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, we talked about the Sony showcase of 2023 where they unfortunately unveiled 3 live service games: Fair Games, Marathon, and Concord. Obviously, with Bungie working on Marathon, this is the game, right? If this a live service game is going to work, if Naughty Dog can't do it, if Sony Bend can't do it, and Firesprite can't do it, Bungie's got to be doing it. Got to be able to do it. They have success with Destiny. Destiny is a wildly successful live service game. But Marathon is an extraction shooter, and I wanted to start there first before we get into the more of the details of the game. Because what is an extraction shooter? console players aren't really familiar with games like Escape from Tarkov and the like of and games like that. I think the closest was Division 2 kind of had a mode like that with a zone that you could go into and it would turn into an extraction shooter. But an extraction shooter is kind of a risk reward. The goal is to go into a map, find loot, and then get out with that loot. Now, other players can interact with you, kill you, and they can take that loot. So you have the risk there, but there's the added risk of you can bring in loot that you've gotten from previous games, previous matches that you successfully extracted, and bring that in. And you can come into the match and be like, oh man, I'm going to bring all my top tier gear, my best sniper rifle, my best armor, everything like that. I'm going to do that because, that gives me a higher chance to win, but you could also risk losing it all. And then it's gone. It's not like, that you load into your next match and you can use it again if you want to. It's gone. And so that is kind of the appeal of these extraction shooters, this risk reward.
You say appeal, I say.
Yeah, yeah. We can kind of get into that. And that's kind of the loop of these games. Like you're going in for loot, is particularly in Marathon. You will also get contracts, so there'll be objectives you can kind of complete to earn more rewards and stuff like that. But that is kind of the loop. You're on this planet called Tau Ceti. It's set in the Marathon universe. I couldn't tell you a single thing about that.
No, I don't think anybody can. This is a franchise that started in the early '90s.
And so we'll just kind of start with that initial premise, John, because I think it's safe to say this mode on face value not appealing.
No, I think I think the idea of it and the gameplay around it is super intriguing for a specific kind of person. I look at that loop and I look at, okay, one of two things is going to happen. I'm going to do what I came out to do, and I'm going to be like, cool, I did it, or I'm going to be really mad that I lost all my shit. And yeah, there's, obviously there's a third option where you create this awesome story with your friends and you did this cool thing and you got out by the skin of your teeth and it was a ton of fun. I play video games to relax and de-stress myself. So,
right.
I haven't even really played Rocket League much at all this year. I'm curious to see where that's going to end at the end of the year with my hours. But yeah, but like I said, I think the idea of an extraction shooter is kind of cool. Like if there was a version of this where it's like, I want developers to design me missions and design me a world and design me enemies and bosses and stuff in an order that makes sense for the game and my progression as a player, I'd be kind of in for the idea of something like an extraction shooter. I kind of think of like Deathloop in a way, right? Where you're kind of picking where you want to load in, picking what the thing you got to do is or accomplish is. Sometimes you might be able to do it, other times you can't. But I know that like every time I load in, I'm going to have like the enemies over here. I got my gun. Like I can plan myself a little bit more. But when you introduce the element of just, like in the trailer, they showed this group of 3 going into a room and there's stuff on the ground. And then like one dude gets shot. This other guy exits his camouflage and he shotguns him in the face. I'm like, that just seems frustrating,
right?
In a lot of different ways. But I know that's, anybody who likes Rainbow Six Siege, anybody who likes, just Call of Duty lobbies and Escape from Tarkov and things like this, like it. Yeah,
Yeah, I think the concept could work. I just don't think in what we'll talk about with the Bungie here, a fast-paced first-person shooter is not appealing to me either. If this was like a slower, like if Naughty Dog's Last of Us multiplayer game was this, I might be a little more interested in it. Like there's a world with infected and bloaters, but also I could run into other people. And there's a potential for like, I don't know, fucking with them or, successfully ambushing them, or they walk by, I'm hiding in the grass, and then I come up and shiv them in the neck. Like they're a slower paced game with more realism could be more interesting. But yeah, I think the gameplay of this, yes, it screams try hard, precision shooting, lightning fast reflexes to be successful. And I think that just don't even put that in an extraction shooter. Outside of Doom or a good single player shooter, I don't want to play that with other people at all.
Don't have that skill set in me.
No,
and so many people have thousands of hours developing that skill set.
Right.
So.
But again, this is Bungie. This is a premier first-person shooter developer. This game is coming September 23rd. Again, right before Ghost of Yotei. They have not mentioned a price yet, but it will cost something. It will be a premium game.
I'm thinking 40.
Yeah, it'll be in that 40. Probably you'll have an edition worth $50, $60, or $70 with some perks and some skins, as these games like to do. But let's start again. We were here last year again. We were doing we were having the lead up for Concord, and Concord was a massive failure, and Sony pulled the plug on it. And that will ultimately, to me, hurt Marathon because the same thing can happen again. Mm-hmm. Sony's not afraid to pull the plug on Concord. What is your confidence, just from if you're in the know, of course, going into Marathon and saying, I'm going to buy this up front, or I'm going to buy a physical edition, and Sony might cancel this 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, if this game is doing the same terrible numbers? John, I mean, am I wrong? Is it is consumer confidence in a Sony first-person multiplayer shooter focused live service game, regardless of the genre of that game? I mean, it's not great.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I think a couple things though will set it aside at least a little bit. And first and foremost, I would imagine 95% of people who play video games don't know who owns Bungie. They probably just don't, right? Or even if they do, being that they're going to see this thing is released on PC and Xbox and PlayStation, it's going to be treated as a different product than Concord, unless if you're one of those few people that know the ins and outs of the Sony ecosystem, right? So I think that will play a part. I also think that will play a bigger part than even that is the way that they frame their trailer, right? Despite it being a franchise that has been on the wane for a while, despite it coming out for the first time 24 years ago, Halo is a name that will bring people. And when you go from the creators of Halo and Destiny, that's going to get some people bought in immediately. Because despite what I think, I don't think you can really argue that, with maybe the exception of id or the Call of Duty teams, Bungie is top tier shooting. It is. It just straight up is. Bungie knows how to do that. Right. So you already have a much higher leg up than Concord, which is an unproven team with an unproven franchise, colorful characters that just didn't resonate with anybody. I think you're already starting off on a better foot. Now, what Bungie is going to need to make sure that they do, especially, is that they have a solid launch. And that's what would worry me most, because Destiny has not ever really launched well, both 1 and 2. And you don't have a lot of time to fix that, as much time as maybe you would have had in the past, with Sony looming over you, with consumer confidence maybe starting to get to you.
And again, this big negative, you're adding a price tag to it, which I think is a mistake. I think if you're looking to get numbers, again, you have to have a successful launch. You have to have a good playing game, because it's not just, I'm John, I'm just going to try. I'm interested. I've never played an extraction shooter. Let me jump in. Well, you're not jumping in for $40 or $50. Unless this is a Helldivers situation, which is a unicorn. That's the hurdle you got to jump.
Well, and the thing that I think really benefited Helldivers is the one thing that this doesn't have is that Helldivers was cooperative. This is not, right? That was the reason that the $40 price point worked, is because you could get word of mouth from friends and be like, "Don't worry, man, we'll carry you." It's what happened to me, right?
Where it's single player.
Yeah, effectively, right? So it will be a little bit of a harder thing to jump in intrinsically, but I think once people play it, right? It might not be like, oh, Bungie, Marathon sold 10 million copies in the first week. It's not going to be that, of course. It's not going to do Halo numbers. It's not going to do Destiny expansion numbers. But I think I trust the development team to put forth a good shooting project. And I don't know a lot about Destiny, so I don't know where the shortcomings were of that game. But this is a much more focused project, right? This is like you're going in, you're doing the thing, you're getting out. We're focused on shooting, action, moment-to-moment gameplay. We're not really like, yeah, there's a story here. Taos 85 has lore and all this stuff, and you can get it if you want. But like at the end of the day, we're here to have fun gameplay moments, and I think Bungie has still that cachet with people, and again, being that it is multi-platform will help it. I'm not saying it's a slam dunk, but I have a much greater confidence that this will be it's going to at least be more successful than Concord. I don't think even anybody would argue that. What's the ultimate lifespan of it? I'm not sure, but I think this will be one to at least stay, because they said during the unveiling of it that there was about 300 Bungie employees working on it, and that team has about 850 to it. So like this isn't even I don't think this is as big of a thing as we all kind of thought it was going to be post Destiny, right? Like I think we kind of all thought like Marathon's going to just be their next Destiny. It's their next big thing, and it's not really that. It's more of it's just an online experience, kind of like an Overwatch almost, right? And so if they can fine tune it, and even if it's not out the gate, but continue to work on it and listen to the players, listen to what people are saying, I think it could find its way eventually. And it is a passion project, right? This is the first thing they've done outside of Destiny. And how long? So, I would imagine if you have a development team and they're like, what do you guys want to work on next? What do you want to do? And like you can get some people like we want to do this thing. At least you're going to have people bought into the project, as opposed to like some corporate overlord going, this is what you're doing next, like it or not, and you're like, all right, cool, and then you go in a little half-assed. So I don't know. I'm not going to play it. I know you're not going to play it, but I think it could be fun.
Yeah, I think I'm sorry, but the optimism I had with Concord is dead. This game is dead. Yes.
It's not dead.
John, look at the comments when this game was revealed.
I know the comments are bad.
It's not great. It's like, and that's another thing, like right out of the gate, like people got to be like, wow, this looks like something. Like when Titanfall was shown, like that was something. That was like, holy crap, I can call mechs from the sky and then get into my mech and I can wall run, and it's like, and I can grapple hook and I can do all these crazy things. Not here. That excitement is not here. And I'm telling you, John, I have a feeling this game will not make it to 2026.
Oh, I'll bet that right now. I'll bet that hard.
So as a pop bet it is.
Yeah, I'll pizza bet that.
Okay, pizza bet it is.
They're gonna give it. Dude, they spent $3 billion for Bungie. They're not going to just.
What did they spend on Concord? They gave it a secret level episode.
They sure did, but
And you brought it up a little bit with the Ghost talk. If Grand Theft Auto is November 1st,
that one's tough.
This game is dead November 1st. I mean, and not just that is not a marathon specific. Rivals dead.
Well,
everything.
Rivals isn't dead.
Well, I mean,
for
dead as far as like your user base. Who's playing you those next few months? That is going to be a real struggle for anyone with an online game. Like John asked me to look up the Twitch numbers, right, for one of our topics today, because it's doing really well. It's beating Grand Theft Auto 5, a 11-year-old game. That's number 2. That's the number 2 most popular game right now.
For sure.
And that game is old. And so I'm telling you, Marathon, no ill will. You just don't have it. And Sony's not playing around anymore. They canceled the Naughty Dog project. They canceled the Sony Bend project. Their live service games are dying all around them, and they're not gonna care on this one. If it is even, I don't know. I mean, it can be doing double Concord numbers. That won't matter. Triple, quadruple. It won't matter. They're gonna kill it. It's gonna be a dead game.
Yeah, I mean, I get you don't think there's a like the type of people who want to just play quick shooting matches. Like, there's nobody that's going to want to do that with this. With the team who developed Halo, You don't think that there's anybody that wants that experience?
I mean, there'll be the fans, of course, but I just don't think it'll be enough.
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe I underestimate, I just Grand Theft Auto to me, I don't know. I just it's such a different game too. Like, are people really going to just drop every other type of experience to do that for months?
It has the benefit of it is Helldivers times a million. Like, it is a unicorn of a franchise. It is extremely popular year after year. It's on the PlayStation download charts every month. Every month people are buying that game.
I know, it's very annoying.
So yeah, I just and like I said, I mean that is on top of there's a Call of Duty game this year, and there are other Fortnite's still around, Marvel Rivals still around, all these games are still around. Sorry, it's like you either come out and you're the next big thing, or you're just done. You're just done. You just don't survive now. I just don't think the game has a chance.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think what the truth of it will probably be is somewhere in the middle.
I would feel better if it was live service. I'll say that up front. That if I'd feel better about that game surviving.
It's not live. What do you mean live service?
I mean live service, not live service. Free to play. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Gotcha.
We haven't podcasted in a while. There are a lot of topics today. You screwed up my dice roll.
Sorry.
I'm all discombobulated.
I mean, I don't know. You got 22,000 people watching Shroud right now playing Marathon. You got 32,000 people watching XQC playing it right now. You got 17,000 doing another one. Those
are big streamers that can pull those
I
numbers
know,
on
but
any
like
game.
all it takes is one of them to be like, yeah, I like this. So I don't know. I'm just saying. I think you're not giving it. It has a chance. It has a chance. Way more than.
If it was free to play, I would believe that, but I don't think. The market will not let you charge for entry for a game that's going to have all the live service trappings.
Yeah,
I think that is a mistake. The Helldivers gets a pass because it is
so
a co-op single player game.
Like almost. When Helldivers came out, obviously Sony was probably just through the moon, right? Like, oh my god, this is working. We did the right things. Like, ooh, okay, and like. Maybe that was a lot of bad data. A lot of bad data for them. We'll see, but I don't know. I have faith in the Bungies.
Yeah, well,
I just think it was
Bungie of 20 years ago is not the Bungie of now.
No, I mean, I think it's like even the multiplayer director is like the dude who did multiplayer for Halo 3. Like they still do have a weird amount of people that are there, but definitely different landscape, different ecosystem compared to 2007 when Halo 3 launched. But
I'm just saying, I know we killed the live service graveyard, but I'm telling you, man,
is this going to be like the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, huh? Of the graveyard?
Yeah,
Nope.
And yeah, so all right, we can ditch the dice because we can move on to the last big news item. Oh, John's trying. There you go. John, take it away. The big news item of the week.
Yeah, well, it's huge, but I feel like it almost got the wind taken out of it just by the amount that this thing got leaked. But
yeah.
But rumblings for the Oblivion remaster. Excuse me. They've been rumbling for a little while now. You could probably look at every big leaker out there, and they'll have some sort of post in their Twitter history or their X history explaining something about it. But the good news is all of that stuff was true because yesterday we were treated to a presentation from Bethesda of probably the biggest shadow drop of all time, I would say, with the Oblivion remake. So this is the Elder Scrolls 4 coming out in 2006, Oblivion. A lot of people's first kind of foray into Bethesda, so it's one that there's a lot of nostalgia for. It was actually my first Bethesda game when I bought a PS3, going to college back in 2007. I bought the Orange Box, I bought Ninja Gaiden, and I bought Oblivion. And I was like, that was 3 pretty fucking great games to get. And so I fell in love with it, right? The idea of going wherever you want, of seeing a mountain, going there, seeing a cave, wondering what's inside, big sprawling open world, and it's great, but obviously 19 years later, it looks a little bit rough. So we were all kind of wondering what was Bethesda going to do to this thing, just make it pretty. But I think it's safe to say, Nick, they kind of went all out with this thing. They up-resed everything. They added a lot of new gameplay elements, kind of reworked the HUD, reworked the UI, left a lot of the silly things in, the silly voices, silly dialogue that I know some people hold near and dear to their heart with this franchise. But it's taken everybody by storm. They announced it at a nice cool $50, which is I think a good jumping in point for this. They could have easily went to $70 and I think gotten away with it well, but $50, jump back in. And
it includes all the DLC, which is great.
Yeah, all the DLC, and it's a great time too, I think, to release it. Because people have been Skyrim is 14 years old now. They announced the Elder Scrolls 6 a long time ago. People are chomping at the bit. They want the next thing from them, and this is a great little holdover until we get Elder Scrolls 6, whatever that's going to be called. But
I think it gets Bethesda in people's good graces again.
I
mean, not that Starfield was a bad game, but it just didn't have what this game has, right? Like you mentioned, the exploring.
That's the key.
Creating your own adventure. You have structured side quests, but really, it's where you want to go and what you want to do, and if that looks interesting, I want to go look into that cave. This is reminding people why they love Bethesda. And
in this game specifically, the Oblivion gates are a fun, cool thing where you enter one, it's fucking kind of scary and looks like hell in a weird way, and the creatures are creepy and all that stuff. But the way that they've done this graphically, it looks dope closing an Oblivion gate now as opposed to whatever the jankiness in 2006 looked like. But what's your excitement level, Nick? I mean, I know I beat this game back in the day.
Wow.
I would love to jump into it again. It gives me a little bit of intimidation, especially since I've been playing Remake here lately. But what's your?
You just mentioned something, and the game's just out, and I have not finished it. I only played here, I'll just answer your question.
Yeah, do it.
I went over to a friend's house who just had gotten an Xbox 360. He had Call of Duty 2 and this game, so I played the opening moments. I found a cave. I explored the cave.
Killed a rat.
I thought it was weird that jumping increases agility and stuff like that. But so I don't know anything. I don't really know anything about the game. I obviously know from playing Skyrim that there's the guild quest and I absorb all the information from there. That's just going to be here, but in an earlier version of the game and in a new region. But I was going to ask, since you said you finished it, and I didn't know that part. Yeah.
I used to complete games when I had.
How do you? I mean, and again, I know this is young college John, probably a real piece of shit.
Yeah, I was.
How did you feel about the story? Right, that's kind of the more interesting. You don't remember?
I don't know. No, I don't remember at all, dude. It's the same thing with Skyrim. Nobody plays those even then. I have no idea. No idea.
Yeah, I mean, I remember bits and pieces of the Skyrim main story. It was more of I know the guild quests were the ones that actually win places where you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But okay, if you don't remember,
no, and I'm a bad person to ask. Just I don't say these things to hurt you, Nick, but even playing through Remake, when cutscenes come on, I go, come on, I don't care. Let's go.
Right.
I don't care.
Well, and to be honest, that's fine. As we're going to talk about Last of Us later, is I think one of the best parts of The Last of Us is a story you'll always remember, as opposed to 90% of the video games you play, and then maybe this is a point about Oblivion's story is it probably was just okay if you don't remember it.
I mean, that's true. I think of almost Fallout 3 story was okay. Fallout 4 story was kind of meh. They don't do main narratives. That's not their thing. Really.
Right. So I was just curious about that. But my interest level is there for that very reason. It's I just don't have that frame of reference for this game and the world and. Again, the $50 price tag. Visually, it just looks incredible in Unreal Engine 5. That I think I will probably make the jump into this. There's another game coming out this week that I feel bad for. That's currently the best reviewed game of the year. That is also launching this week. That is I really, 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 really want to play.
Is that a topic?
It is not. It is not a topic, but I figure as far as teases, we could talk about it.
Okay. Well, let's just talk about it now.
Okay.
He's referring to Clear Obscure Expedition 33.
Well, are we done with Oblivion before we get into that?
Yeah,
Cool
I
that
mean,
they shadow dropped it. That's like, I think as you mentioned, that's like something that just doesn't happen, and just doesn't happen with something I think as big as this is right now.
I would almost like to
Hi-Fi
know
Rush
more. Like,
was-
did Bethesda have any hand in the leaks? Like, because if they did, it's kind of a very good way to announce a game like this.
it did get people chomping.
Got
at
people
the
like
bit.
talking about it, like, what
Right.
is this?
Yeah,
Where
getting
is
all-
it? Oh, I think it's going to be next week. Is it
Everyone
next
was
week? And then it
getting
comes out, and
flustered.
people are like ready to spend their money now, right? They're
Right.
like, oh, it's here, cool, grow,
Right.
go, because that was the game where you were referring to 181,000 people watching it on Twitch right now, which is
Right.
for a single player game, pretty good.
Yeah. So, but we can briefly touch on a Clear Obscura Expedition 33. Ever since it was shown last year at that Xbox conference, that was just incredible all around. We got to see Fable and Perfect Dark and South of Midnight, and then this game was like a surprise and like a holy shit, what the fuck is this game? Who's Sandfall Interactive? I don't know who that is, but
60 people,
but I mean, unlike Marathon, the splash of this game was huge. We talked about it on this show. It is one of our most anticipated games of this year. And I guess, John, drop it. How well is this game doing on OpenCritic?
91 right now, my man.
91.
Started at 94.
Yeah, so it's adjusting, but I mean, on pace right now, it is the best reviewed game of the year.
Well, I think the more like notable thing about the 91 is like what people are saying. Like, it's like, this is a generational RPG. This moves the genre forward. It's like those type of comments, as opposed to, I don't know. It's really good. I like it. I know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
everybody. It's like they're using all the big words to explain it. It's not
Right.
just like, oh, I like the game. It was fun.
That's a great way to put it.
And
Good
again,
graphics,
right?
tight story.
And again, this is a team with about 50 people. Like, this game it's on the path. Congratulations on your Game of the Year nomination.
Right.
Like,
yeah. I'm so happy for them.
Yeah.
Again, it's that they were featured in the Xbox Developer Direct. Like John said, 50 people, very humble. First game. Like this is like a dream come true. If me and John got in the game industry and we released a game and we got in the 90s, I'd cry. I'd be like, oh my God, everything was so worth it. We did it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this game has exceeded every one of my expectations. Its debut title is one of the greatest accomplishments in gaming, delivering a well-paced, polished, and unforgettable experience. They say art is all about eliciting an emotional reaction. If you can do that, all your effort expanded in creating it is worth it. I think Claire Obscure does it with aplomb. APLOMB. If you have ever loved role-playing games ever, you owe it to yourself to play this. It has the capacity to touch you.
Yep.
In a good way, I hope.
So yeah, there's no world I'm not playing this now.
But it is kind of like we feel bad for it. It's like it's going to find its audience. It's going to be an incredibly successful game. It's just like they're probably like, yeah, we got a great release window. Doom's not out until May 15th. Like, there's nothing really before us. Like, we'll have an opportunity to take the the conversation, and then like, oh man, one of the biggest franchises ever.
Well, I talking about like this year, and I've been in the mood to kind of give some shit to you because you said this year was going to be better than that had the potential to be better than 2023, and
you were just
I was pushing 2024 all last year, and you were giving me shit that I really felt like this year it was really slow to get going, especially for me. Kingdom Come doesn't do it. We'll talk about Blueprints, isn't doing it.
Monster Hunter.
Yeah, Monster Hunter isn't doing it. So like my appetite is like I'm starving. I want to eat a game. I want to consume a game right now so badly.
Run away, Ben.
And I'm
Starr,
sure
run away.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there like me feeling that way, that want to play Ghost of Yotei, want to play Death Stranding 2, and are just, God, we got to wait longer and longer and longer. That when the first game this game hits, and it hits this hard, that everyone's too busy consuming, Oblivion. It is a bummer.
Yeah, it's out of nowhere.
It'll definitely take some momentum off. So
yeah.
And them both being Game Pass games too. So I mean, fuck, man, you're a Game Pass subscriber right now. You got South of Midnight, which is an okay game earlier this month, but then you got this week Expedition 33 and Oblivion, and then in a couple weeks
Doom.
you're gonna get Doom: The Dark Ages. It's like, holy shit, this paid for my whole year of it.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm so happy for them. I'm playing it. I will hopefully have something to say next episode, but this is awesome.
Those are early teas.
Because it's I was getting bummed. It's like Hades 2 and Fable delayed to next year on my console of choice. South of Midnight, Lost Records, not great games. Okay. I needed that first win. I need the win, and here it is.
Yeah, what is your game of the year so far? Well, it's probably Split Fiction. Game of the year
what
so
I've
far.
played so far,
Yeah.
Sweet. I plan on playing both. That is the kind of where we can wrap this topic up.
Good.
All right. Let's get into our final topic, and I'll try to make this as quick as possible. Unless you got some gaming updates. You're just more
Very quick ones if I do.
All right. I finished Lost Records Bloom and Rage. Tape 2 came out, and not good. Not good.
Not
Sorry. There are some positive changes, which I talked about in a previous episode when I played Tape 1, but I just thought the story was not great. So I do not recommend playing it. It's not worth the time commitment to get through a mediocre story in these story-based games. Don't Nod, Deck 9, they really got to figure something out to make this genre more interesting and get away from what they just keep trying to recreate. Life is Strange. Same music, same atmosphere, same everything, and it's getting tired.
Sure.
That's what I'm kind of excited for.
Mixtape?
Mixtape, but
okay.
The developer of The Quarry and Until Dawn, their next game.
Supermassive?
Yeah, Supermassive. What's their next game called? But anyway, their next game, the sci-fi game that looks like The Thing.
Hold on, I got
We've
you.
talked about it
I know.
on this show.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Like I said, you could quick Google, but like they're doing a completely different setting. They're doing
Directive 80/20.
Yeah, they're doing a sci-fi, aliens game, and it's so yes, finally, because the Until Dawn and The Quarry were the same thing, same themes, same enemy type. That's what if whatever the next Don't Nod or Deck 9 game is, it has to think about that.
It can't just be a cast of all angsty preteen girls.
Correct.
It's not woke or anything like that. It's just like, guys, like this is a little tired now.
Right,
We
right.
know.
We can move on now to Blueprints, which was previously the best reviewed game of the year, kind of readjusted to 89, but also another critical darling from Dogu Bomb. I forget the developers of this game's name, but he was like a former.
I just had it. Shit.
He's a former. He used to be an ad man. He made ads.
An ad man, huh?
Yeah, he worked in advertising, and I'm going to create a game, and comes up with Blueprints, which is a roguelike house builder. Is the easiest way to put it. The story is you inherited a house from your grandpa, and he tasks you with finding the 46th room, which no one has been able to find. And if you do that, you get all of his inheritance. And how this game works is, again, a roguelikes are run base. You do a run and then you fail and you do another run. In this, you walk into the foyer of this giant mansion with 3 doors. You walk up to that door, you go to open it, and it's like, well, what room do you want on the other side of this door? Do you want a bedroom? Do you want a security room? Do you want a dining room?
Sex dungeon.
Yeah, that might be in later in. It's like, damn,
45
Grandpa.
is a lot of different rooms.
A hallway and stuff like that. And so you have kind of like a grid. So your house or the mansion can only be so big, and you can never pick the same room twice. That you start building this out. And the fail state is if you build just all dead ends, right? If in this foyer you build 3 dead end rooms, run over.
Does the day just end?
Yeah, the day just ends,
okay.
and then it goes on to day 2. And the other way you get 50 steps, and so each room base value is a step, And then some rooms might be worth more than that. They might be worth 2 steps. And so
real quick, so you can enter a room, and then once you've entered, you can walk around wherever you want.
Right.
Okay, I was worried. I was like, wait, do I have to like plan my like?
yeah,
Like,
individual.
that sucks. Okay.
No, the room
Okay, that's
itself
not
is considered a 1 step. Like I said, there are
Okay.
other rooms that will be worth different amount of steps. Bedrooms will recover steps. So while you're also planning this building out to try and get to the end of it, you're also got to, slightly in the back of your head think, well, if I have to backtrack, this could be a real
So every
nightmare.
time.
Yeah, this could be a real nightmare for me. So maybe, and like I said, there are roguelike elements like you said, you want to plan out having bedrooms maybe between the front and the back of the house, and there's items. I found a sleep mask that improved every time I went into a bedroom. I got 5 extra steps, and so you kind of have these elements, and yeah, and then another failure state is when you get toward the back of the house, keys become a real big consumable. There are 3 consumables in this: food, which gives you more steps; gems, which you have to spend to buy more expensive rooms; and then keys, which will open chests in these rooms or open the rooms themselves. So if you're not keeping a steady stockpile of keys, you could just run out because all the doors are locked by the end of the house, and you'll just have to end your run here. And I wasn't digging it, John. Yeah. Played a couple hours. I was a little put off by you'll start going through the house, and they'll start giving you kind of like tips. And one of them was like, you should get a pen and paper and start writing things down. And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
No, I have a controller in my hands. No.
Like, either you give me something in the game to help me keep track of those things of like next steps, or I just don't do it. And in these type of games, I don't know, they're like, I don't know what the correct term is for them, but like Return of Obra Dinn, Outer Wilds, these games that are very obtuse and require just a lot of trial and error, a lot of thinking on your own, not a lot of direction. They just turn me off every time, and this felt the same way. I just was like, I just don't think I can slowly walk through these rooms and do another. Because then I was hearing about like people spending like 20. You said someone beat it in 20, but people are on like 50, 80 hours, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that is something else. Out of playing this game.
Well, there's a nice Polygon article here, Nick, about the best ways to take notes for the blueprints. You didn't want to read that and figure out how the best way?
And I will probably like preface that it's a game that a lot of these, like, you have to let the snowball build and start rolling and start gathering momentum, because I think your very early runs in this are like finding secrets in all these rooms, finding out how to figure out puzzles in these rooms, and kind of like I said, getting closer and closer and being like, oh man, this run, I almost did it. Mm-hmm. I almost got to the final room, and I know how to do it now. I need the circuit breaker room. I need this elevator. I need all these things, and then I'll do it. But I have a plan in place, right, going into my run, just like you would at like a Hades or something else. It's like, oh man, I got to the final boss of the 4th area. I fought the Hydra. Now I know what to do, and I know how to tackle them. So now the next run's going to be even better. I have better weapons. I leveled up. Same thing here. I think you just have to kind of like let that snowball build, because you can level up rooms in this too, and then they'll have more resources for you, and so that kind of makes that will continually make each run easier. But
yeah, Pell the show Will was texting me about this one. He's obsessed. He loves it. So
I feel like it's either get you or don't.
Yeah, I mean, and these, it's puzzle games are inherently you're in them or you're not. The Witness is a 10 out of 10 to a lot of people. In fact, I think IGN gave it a 10 out of 10, but you could not let me. I don't want to touch that game with a 36-foot pole. So, all right, well, you gave it a shot. You did your due diligence.
Yeah.
I still want to check it out. I mean, I'm not an extra subscriber right now, so I'm not going to buy it. But whenever it's on, maybe if it's on a steep sale or something like that, I might at least give it a chance. But
yeah, you might as well.
I don't know. It could probably be a good Portal game.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, I know you're more into those roguelikes than I am.
Yeah.
This might
but
actually.
I'm dumb. So I don't like to use my brain when I game.
Okay. Well, then you'll be turned off.
I'll hate
it. yeah, so before this week, I was in this kind of state of like forcing games, right? Forcing me and myself to play games, forcing myself to try games, and just not feeling fulfilled. Not playing games that made me feel great or just like I was aching to play them. I was just playing games to kill time. You look like you're gonna say something or make a joke.
Nope. Just being silly.
So I was just like, what am I gonna do? Like I'm feeling burnt out. Is kind of where I was getting at, because it's just like I'm playing games, but I'm not leaving the situation going, woo, yay.
Yep.
So I was reading about a game that the developer of it experienced burnout and wanted to make a game about burnout, and that is Wanderstop, a game released earlier this year.
What was the developer's other game that he made, Nick? What was that?
Stanley Parable.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is Ivy Road is the developer. I believe it's Davey Redden is the.
That sounds right. I know it's Davies for sure, right?
The guy that's done both. Fun fact though, this game did not. He experienced burnout on this game as well.
Did he?
Yeah, making this game, and so Wanderstop, you take the role of a hero that is a fighter and has been winning fights for a very long time, but all of a sudden is not winning fights and is feeling stressed and anxiety about that. So goes into this forest to find a master to train them to get over this, whatever's bugging them. They don't know what it is, but something is wrong. They're not the same person they used to be. And while running through this forest, your character just passes out. And then they wake up in this forest clearing at a tea shop run by this character named Boro. And he's like, I don't know what's going on with you, but, why don't you stay here, hang out? You can serve tea if you want to. You can clean up if you want to. You can grow plants and collect tea leaves for this tea, fruit. You can do all these things, but at your pace. There is no pressure. There's no time limit, just if you feel like it. And that's kind of the game, is you are in a third-person game where you're running it's a simulation where you're running a tea shop. Adventurers and questers will come in and they'll kind of talk to you, and the game is very silly. In fact, right off the bat, I'm like, this game is reminding me of something. Like there's a strong vibe of another game I played. It's the way these characters look. It's the way that there's a lot of text. The way my character, when she goes to talk to somebody, she just stands there with her arms folded, and it's staring. The camera's right over her right shoulder, and so I can see her entire back, but I can see the entire character filling the screen.
Is it like Fable or something?
It zooms in. It's Legend of Zelda.
Really?
It has a 3D Zelda feel,
okay.
Big time. I 100% think the vibe is of a Zelda game. The characters have that same amount of silliness, and kind of like bizarre nature and kind of a little bit outlandish.
Boro even seems like the name of a Zelda character.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure he was probably based on a Goron, which is kind of very similar looking character. I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of a neat touch. And the tea shop is fantastical. I mean, there's like 6 steps to make tea, and it's running through all these beakers and tubes, and it's all very satisfying every time you make tea. And then you open the pot and you throw in your fruit and your tea leaves, and it just starts changing colors, and it can get pretty out there as far as colors. And then you find weird objects in the environment like toys and gumballs, and you can just throw it in there, and it's going to make some weird tea concoction. And
seems dangerous and negligent.
Yeah. And even these people that want tea, they kind of give you a little bit of idea of what they want, and you can have this like tea book that covers like different fruits, so you'll know which ones have caffeine. So you just kind of pick up if they're like, oh, I want a tea that gives me more energy. You're like, okay, I found the fruit that provides caffeine. I know caffeine is energy, and I'll do it to it. But it doesn't outright tell you. But your tea shop does have a library in it, and there is just the answer book. It's called the answer book.
Oh, nice.
You open it and it just says, this is what you need to make, and give it to them.
Thank you.
And
don't waste your time. The Don't Waste Your Time book.
So you spend time, just cleaning up leaves, trimming weeds. You have this feels almost like Viva Pinata-esque growing of these fantastical trees, where you can there's only like 6 different like seed types, and you can mix and match them, and then they start growing into these trees.
That's right, folks. We're the only podcast out there that's going to reference Viva Pinata. You better believe it.
Yeah, and it just has this. There is a charm and a feel to this that I really enjoy. And then, like I said, this is a game about dealing with like personal issues and a kind of like, therapy, right? Like identifying your emotions, how to deal with them. And that's kind of, and I do kind of like indie games like this, like that have kind of a larger narrative, that like a What Remains of Edith Finch, right? That game, you're doing a bunch of different things, but it kind of coalesces into this larger life narrative that kind of just raises indie games like this to just an incredible level.
I'm so proud of you. You're such a reformed indie hater. I love it.
That Wanderstop starts feeling the same way, and you might like start being a little more introspective about your own life and your own experience with burnout. I think we all experience. John's talking about, what is his life now? It's work and baseball and baseball practice, and I'm sure at sometimes it's like you have this voice in your head that's like, keep going, keep going, keep going, but it's okay to stop at some point and just chill. Yeah. Just relax. There's like meditation and doing just the simple things. Because that was the plot of when Jim Carrey plays God, right?
Bruce Almighty? Yeah,
Bruce Almighty. Eventually, like the end is just slow down and just mop this floor and take slow, be a little introspective, a little meditative, and this game kind of covers all those points much better than I'm explaining right now. But in a video game, which is great. I'm doing things. And I do think like the tea making isn't as relaxing as it should be, but because people do give you like, they're like, I want this tea and I want this tea. And
it's like making sushi and Dave the Diver. It's like
but not as definitely not as stressful as that. There's no time component. They can go, I want this tea, and you could just be like, I'm not doing that, and just play the game and just do everything else. It's an interesting game, an interesting idea, and like again, a good change of pace. If you're just, you've been playing action games or, Twitch shooters that go and play these what they refer to now as cozy games. I like the idea.
Nice.
I like the idea for a little palate cleanser.
So what's it got? What's it giving it?
Oh, it's an 8 out of 10.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good.
That's its exact Metacritic or OpenCritic score.
Yeah.
I do believe.
Yeah, it was good, and it was a fun pick. I was actually very happy, and it's a and I earned the platinum, my 49th platinum, and I don't know how it does it, but I believe you just earn trophies randomly. You don't have to do anything in the game. Yeah. Like, there's no trophy that's like, make this specific tea for anybody. It just goes, they're all very introspective trophy descriptions.
The trophy list for the Stanley Parable. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, you don't even have to achieve milestones.
Right, but like he doesn't treat the Stanley Parable like serious with trophies either. It's like, don't play this game for 10 years. You're like, what? Yeah. So yeah, you just earn them. So yeah, it's also kind of like, again, if you're platinum hungry, it's a easy platinum. Everybody says it's just by playing the game.
Yep. Yeah. So just eventually you'll play the game for X amount of hours and get the platinum. So
cool.
All right. Let's do this, John.
All right.
It's been 2 weeks.
Yep.
The Last of Us Season 2 is out. And this is kind of how we're going to discuss it. I want to discuss it from the point that John and I are in. One, this is a video game podcast, very PlayStation heavy podcast. John and I have both played and completed The Last of Us Part 2, which this season is based on. That game came out 4 years ago. The leaks are even longer than 4 years now. And John can't help himself. He'll spoil everything. So there's no filter on his mouth.
As our audience wants. They don't want us to talk about The Last of Us, not spoil it.
So yeah, we're going to take it from that point of people that have played the games and are experienced the show as game players. So I will say from this point on,
Turn it off.
Turn it off. Look at the. I'll make some show notes that says, "Hey, you can start listening again at this point of time, and continue on, and we won't be talking about the show anymore." So, this is your last warning.
This also is our last topic, so like, unless if you just want to hear the last song or something, or just saying goodbye, you're also probably clear.
Right. So, this is your last warning. Like again, anything that has happened in The Last of Us Part 2, which is that entire game, and The Last of Us Season 2 up until this point, which is the first 2 episodes, is open for discussion. So, not to say that we will talk about spoilers for the game, but potential's there. So where do you want to start? Got 2 episodes to talk about.
I think we should probably start with episode 1, obviously, just because episode 2 is going to take up probably more of the conversation. And I think we start there. And
okay.
And
is there anything particular in episode 1? Again, I think we're coming back. 5 years have passed. We're reestablishing Jackson, reestablishing our characters, the ones we've known from the past season and until now. And I guess I do want to start with something because I think it's gonna play into both episodes. But this season starts with our introduction to Abby. And unlike the game where we as players had no idea what Abby was doing and why she was at Jackson, this kind of starts out with our view of Salt Lake City. The last time we saw fireflies, Joel had some fun there, and we understand who they are and why they're looking for Joel is because they are all ex fireflies, and so that was something that is a choice.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of just take the Abby saying her motivations right off the bat. I'm not a huge fan of how they did it, but I understand why you would do it this way. We as the player is a different type of experience than we as the viewer. And it makes sense that they want to kind of capture people and make you understand right off the bat, like who you are, why are you here, who is this character, is she the villain, blah, blah, blah. But I just, it almost immediately left a little bit of oomph away from me.
That's what I was gonna say, because I think that is a big reveal, right? Like the oh God, like moment is the reveal of Abby's motivations, and you don't think that would have been a moment in TV if the reveal had come? I do. I like at the end of the season, revealed why.
Yeah, I think it would, but there's other decisions that they've made for whatever reason that I think kind of almost handicap themselves and force them to do it this way.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even think Abby ever tells Ellie.
Tells her no, but she has to know at some point in the story.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Because again, the one thing that is different, we play as Abby. We are Abby in the game, so we know, but I don't know. It's a choice.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been more interesting to just
maybe we talk about these episodes as almost combined
because when you get in the big moment of episode 2, it's the same thing. There's no surprise.
Right.
We know why they're there.
Right, yeah, and I think we should talk about both. Let's just pull at it where we want to, right? But, because she also then kind of follows that up when we get to the big scene in episode 2 with Joel's death. She, again, just straight up tells him who she is, why she's here, and in the game that is not present at all. And so, I think it was maybe just kind of it's a more conventional form of storytelling that will just kind of keep people, the average person that wasn't interested in experiencing the game, just kind of keep them like, okay, well, there's the bad guy, and like, okay, I know who they are now. And otherwise, you might just kind of, I don't know, meander and just assume that, well, this girl's just kind of a bitch, and she just killed him for no reason. And then you got to go week after week.
That's what they wanted in the game. I mean, that's That was motivation in the game.
But you're going week by week by week with this. You're going to see drop off in viewership if like they don't get to that quicker.
Yes,
I agree with you, man. Like I do think it was kind of a disappointment that we got it that way.
Because and not just Abby, just the whole group too is like you when she starts going on this revenge tour, it's like you're with her, you're angry, you do terrible things, but then the curtains open and you realize like, oh, these are all sympathetic characters, and now they're all sympathetic characters right from the start, and I don't know, I think it's killing. It killed a big moment, I think. I
agree. I mean, maybe they have some sort of. It'll all make sense when we go throughout the season, right? Like season 1 definitely veered off in a couple different ways. The big one being the Bill and Frank episode. Yeah. Maybe there's some sort of moment that they're gonna add in. I don't know.
Both episodes I thought were very good. Television, so I'm not sitting there going, oh God, but yeah, interesting choice, and how this as our exploration of this show as game players, we're going to continue to have these moments of like, okay, they're doing this differently. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, you're gonna see those. We're gonna see those just immediately, right? But the average person is probably they don't know that was a route,
right?
And again, I think that. Most television, HBO gets away with doesn't do it as much because they're the highest quality in my opinion, but like you kind of sometimes not dumb it down is not the right word, but like just make it the most approachable for the most amount of people. They want viewership up, they need to match these numbers, and like, well, how can we retain viewership throughout the length of a season? Because I even believe season 1 of The Last of Us was a very rare example of gaining viewership as the season went on. Mm-hmm. Usually it lowers it, so maybe they're just like, well, we need to establish the basic formula of narrative. I don't know, but anyway, sure. beyond that.
And then the next thing from episode 1 that I wanted to talk about that also, we'll go into episode 2 because it just threw me off, and I think this was intentional. Because we get our first look at Joel, and he's got readers on. Yep. Yep. Which is going to come up a couple of times because there'll be another scene later this episode where he's wearing the same readers, and I'm like, man, that makes him look so old.
It does.
And then in that Abby confrontation, she comments on, "Oh, you're 60 years old," and I think this is just the kind of combat the idea of this is the Joel we knew, the hardened, I don't give a fuck Joel, the always on red alert all the time. That this is 5 years later. This is a Joel that has been able to relax, settle in, be old in this world, because Jackson allows for you to be old in this world.
And I think that's smart. There's a nice little bit of visual storytelling. One of the biggest complaints, and I think a popular theme that you'll hear from us as we discuss the entire season, is just that the video game is a divisive game. There's a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, but a group of loud people that have major problems with it. And one of the big problems with the death of Joel for people is that he's too smart. He wouldn't just tell people his name. And there is a little bit of divergence in the show as to how they did that, how Abby even heard his name, because in the game he's like, "Hi, I'm Joel. This is Tommy." And like people didn't like that because despite him being a little bit softer, living comfortable for a while, he still should have those instincts. And I think this was just kind of like a nice little touch to kind of be like, no, man, he's like, he has moved on. He just wants to be a dad now. He just wants this community to be okay. He wants his relationship back with his quote unquote daughter, and he's not thinking about how can I.
Right, and I think to that point of building up to this, the finale of the second episode is also his softness, not just with Ellie, but we see in this scene when Dina come in and he's like, "Oh, hey, kiddo," and I think the same thing. I think he refers to Abby as a kid too. I think he says, "Hey, kid," when they're gonna break through the door. So again, I think he's older. He's obviously softer. Because he had a little girl.
Had a little girl. Has Ellie. Has Dina now. He's gonna see Abby and go, "Cool, you're like them.
Yes,
I can tell you what I need to."
Young teen girl or young woman comes into his life, he's just he's in dad mode.
Protection.
Yep. So I thought that was also just another little wink.
Yep. Yep. But I mean, the moments that I kind of think about with the first episode, also, things that we want to make sure we talk about. I think the big scene from that episode they did wonderfully, which is, I'm talking about the dance scene in the barn.
Oh my God, 1-to-1.
Yeah, 1-to-1. And I mean, that was like the very first thing we saw of The Last of Us in anything, right? When we got that first trailer. Maybe it was the second trailer because the first one was with like the crazy group that like gutted that person that was hanging, right?
Okay, so that is technically the second trailer.
Okay.
The first trailer.
Oh, was that PSX where you just see the Firefly sign?
And she's playing the guitar.
Yeah.
And which is the same song they play at the end of episode 2.
Yeah. A lot of callbacks.
Yeah. And I forgot to talk to you about this, but the end of episode 2 is Ashley Johnson singing.
Oh, is it?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, go back and watch that.
I thought, because when she was singing, I was trying to be like, oh no, that probably is Bella. But,
well, yeah, kudos to Bella because she pulls off Ellie again. All this the episodes we've seen here, but yeah, I can see why you would make.
Just kind of thought she would have done it, but So the dance scene, right? Like I don't know what it is.
But it was E3 2018 was the one you're talking about.
Okay.
But that recreated this scene, and it's technically the third trailer.
Yeah, it's like a little kind of soft country song playing, and Dina's dancing around like an idiot, and Ellie's just, the camera pans down, and with all the lights in the barn, and
everyone's staring at you.
It's just like I think it's just a perfect combination of the song choice, the personal drama that Ellie's obviously fighting with, being a gay woman in this world that doesn't really. We can't even begin to think about the sexual side of our lives right now, right? That's not what we're doing. And so to have this tender moment with, the music that's playing, the vibes that is setting off, matching the game, I think both Ellie and Dina did a good job. They have good chemistry together, which is obviously super important. I was very... very pleased watching that scene specifically from the first episode.
Yeah. No. Again, yeah. That E3 will always be in my head, 2018. It was just a cool idea that Sony moved everyone into these different rooms, and they had different themes. There was the Ghost of Tsushima room and Spider-Man.
The Flute Man.
Yeah.
but not the Flute Man we usually talk about. Pedro Eustache. Yeah, so I mean, the first episode, kind of felt, there wasn't a lot that was established, but another big part that I think we definitely have to talk about is the addition of Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah, that's the only other thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so we get a new character who is not present in the game in the form of a psychiatrist for Joel. Catherine O'Hara, who in the world of The Last of Us was married to a character named Eugene. We find out Eugene was like the dude who basically grew all the pot that everybody.
We never saw him in the second game, but they talked about him.
Yeah, but they talked about him. So we get the introduction of this character, and she was just a vehicle to kind of, I think, get into Joel's head a little bit more. I'm curious to see if she's going to be used as the series continues.
So this whole Eugene thing, where Joel has done something to Eugene, we don't know what it is.
Referenced it a couple times.
It's been referenced a couple times in the show that it is coming back. That that is 100% going to be some kind of flashback.
Is it the Bill and Frank of this season?
It could be. I mean, it sounds pretty terrible for whatever it was.
Yeah, I just see them. I think they probably got such a good response from that episode. They're like, we got to try to include another one of these.
So yeah, here's another character like Frank from season 1 that is only passively mentioned, and now they're gonna do something with him.
But I think Catherine O'Hara was great. She is awesome. Like She's a unicorn of an actress to me. She's kind of like a Jim Carrey, somebody who can make you belly laugh, but at the same time can like pull out dramatic chops if she needs to.
Yeah.
And the conversation that happened where she basically, this whole therapy session was her trying to get Joel to admit. He's struggling with his relationship with Ellie, right? He doesn't know how to fix it. He's worried that he's going to lose her. And she basically tells me, like, she's a fucking 19-year-old kid, man. Like, stop being a little bitch about it. Like, don't be... And she kind of ends that little conversation with, like...
She Joel's Joel.
Yeah, exactly. And but then kind of, like, almost puts him in his place and be like, because she goes about, say the thing that you don't want to say. And she goes to Joel and is basically like, I fucking hate you. And as the viewer, like, what? Why? What's happening? And you find out that Joel is the person that ended up killing Eugene. We don't know why yet. But trying to coax him into saying, like, I know there's something here with Ellie. You're not telling me there's something huge, monumental, that we can get to the root of why you're here if you'll just say it. And I think it was done really well where, like, I didn't know for a second if, like, is she just straight up telling him how she feels and then, like, and then that's it and it's bad. But to kind of do the nice psychiatrist thing, you could tell she had a plan from the get-go.
Right.
And it was well executed. Unfortunately, it didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, and as game players, we know why, but as
I wonder
as viewers,
if he did that in that moment, if he left that session and went to Ellie and had that conversation that I think Ellie has been waiting for him to have with her, despite their issues, if the next day wouldn't have played out like it did,
sure.
Right? Like because
sure.
Ellie wakes up the next day, I want to go on patrol with Joel. Where's Joel? Well, he's already left. He went with Dina, which is different from the game. But, I wonder if that would have been like, okay, we hashed it out. We got it out of our systems. Let's try and fix this now. And
sure.
It's just, traumatic, of course.
Sure.
like everything in this show is.
Right.
but a good job by the writing team of figuring out a way to introduce a character and get a little bit of get more out of it than maybe you would otherwise with just kind of hey, we want to put in a big name actress just because she's popular.
Yeah, and definitely I think establishing as we'll get more of in the next episode, just Jackson itself, which wasn't featured very much in the game itself at all.
No.
And again, I think the goal here is to establish Jackson just like we will see in areas of the Seattle. The other factions of this game and this franchise that are teased in episode 2, the similarities between Jackson and these other cities is going to be apparent big time.
Yeah.
So we can just move on to episode 2 then and kind of like let's just get with the big change.
Yep.
The Battle of Jackson, definitely something that did not occur in the game.
Yeah, is this season 6 of Game of Thrones or season 7 of Game of Thrones? Which season is this? It felt very Game of Thrones.
Yeah. And any of the later seasons where it was always big.
Season 5, season 4, I don't know.
Yeah, they all had it. They all had the episode with the big battle.
We got the budget, guys. Use it.
Right. And that's I think that was the plan here as Jackson gets attacked by. Oh, I don't know. It's almost comical how many there were, especially the big mountain shots.
I think it was about 1,000. I mean, the only reason I say that is because they mentioned like earlier in the episode of somebody saying like, "Oh, what was there 1,000?" and somebody like laughs it off like that can't happen. It's like, no, that's what just happened. So
I do think that's always funny. They're in Wyoming, a rural state to begin with.
The ruralist,
right? And then they're in the dead of winter. And these many infected are just hanging out nearby, like it
maybe they moved. It's a hive mind situation.
Suspend disbelief a little bit, because you didn't see the big pile of bodies in fall.
Was it Abby falling on top of the pile, or was it the dude breaking the? It was the dude breaking that caused it to happen.
So Abby got obviously the first wave that causes her to run into Joel and Dina, but he hits the second one, which causes the second wave.
Right, because then you saw them all diverge, and then they went to town.
Right. Yes.
Bad timing, guys.
Right.
Man.
Right, and also I said I wouldn't talk about episode 1, but I also think because they established Joel as the foreman, that not only is him being old, him treating these people like kids, that his relationship with Ellie is distracting him from work too.
Right.
Like I think this was something he would have noticed had he been doing his job and not hiding away working on whatever little circuit breaker he was working on when Dina came in and we are first introduced to him. So
sure. Good point.
We get a big Battle of Jackson, lots of ammo, giant barrels of gas.
Yep. Yeah, it kind of felt like Helm's Deep for a second.
an interesting scene. I think, John, I know we talked off air that this whole section kind of didn't really work for us.
Yeah, I know what they were going for. Again, this maybe goes back to my kind of thought of like, they need to, people love excitement. People love action. I get it. It's always an exciting thing when you get that episode 9 Game of Thrones moment. But I do think it did a little bit of disservice to the story that was being told at the time, right? The Joel's death is the biggest moment, arguably, that happens in both Game 1 or Game 2. And so to add this just like bombastic, crazy action set happening at the same time that didn't happen in the game, but in the same episode where you're bouncing back and forth, felt a little weak to me, just in the sense of a narrative storytelling, right? It felt like, well, we don't have a way to flesh out more dialogue or make this more interesting between the Abby's crew and Joel and Dina in this situation. We need to have something else happening at the same time. Well, what if we rope in the big action sequence and we just do it all in this episode? And so I felt like it just didn't land like they wanted it to, at least with me. And I also had a big problem with some of the way that the fight was done. Not any visuals, it looked great, but
Tommy's plot armor. I don't like using plot armor as a reason for not liking something, but we saw this hive mind scenario where these clickers infected are operating as a single unit, right? We see them chase Abby. The moment the other thing happens, they diverge. They all turn their heads at the same time. They all go into town. They all breaking in. But the moment they finally get it through the barricade, everybody ignores Tommy. They're almost like funneling beside him. He finds his way into an alleyway by himself. The only thing that follows him is the one huge guy that managed to break through. It just all felt very like, well, this is going to happen because he's our boy. And it's like, it just felt a little lazy to me. Right.
And then the other thing I want to say about this scene is I felt a little weak again to me that what is this world, Nick? This world is all about surviving. This world has fallen. We have our community. We need to protect our community. We're sending patrols out to comb for rogue infected, make sure that we don't get infiltrated. But we're not going to set up any barrier protection besides just rolling out gasoline barrels. We're not going to set traps. We're not going to set pits. We're not going to, figure out a way that if for some reason we get bombarded, whether they're infected or other tribes, other groups of people, that the only thing we have is standing on top of the barricade with guns. Yeah, that could be effective, but I just felt like, you guys, this is all we're doing. Or even when that big thing was getting ready to break through, they're just yeah, it's going to break through. Get ready. It's
especially because they had that scene with at the beginning of this episode with Abby and their group when they realized just how fortified Jackson is. They have power, not just like generators. They have power lines running throughout the whole city, which makes it pretty well defended. Mm-hmm. And then like you said, to have this kind of just be yeah,
it wasn't much of a fight to keep them out, I guess. But and I do I don't know. I'm gonna wait to see, because in the game we know what's gonna happen with Tommy, and maybe it doesn't happen. That's a good question now, but I know that they do a lot of establishing Tommy, because I don't think he had a kid in the game either. No.
And Tommy's relationship with Maria, he that in that scene that felt a little unrealistic. He was doing it to defend his wife, to draw the giant bloater away from her. So I'm either.
But also, why was that bloater focused on her? But that's what I that's kind of what I mean.
But are they gonna Is it gonna? Are they doing this because it's gonna be a bigger deal when he's gonna go, I'm leaving all of this to get revenge for Joel, or are they gonna diverge the story entirely and Tommy's not gonna be the one to go?
Who would it be then?
I mean, he doesn't. That person just doesn't go at all.
Yeah, it could just be Jesse and Dina.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think though they set it up because it will be a bigger deal. I think he's going to have to decide. You can't not have that heartfelt moment of I love you and I care about our child. Maybe he did have a child in the game. I don't know. It's kind of like tickling something in my brain where he like when he said goodbye to Maria that like it was a bigger deal than just leaving her. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good.
I'm saying that a lot. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because I know like in the game, Tommy sneaks away and leaves. And
Is it a sneak?
Yeah,
It's
because part of like letting Ellie go is to get Tommy too. So,
right, that's true.
So I don't know, but it was interesting, and I like I said, I'm curious whether that part will follow the plot of the game or not, or if that's just too much to cover, and so he won't be featured. But
You got a question.
no, I just wanted to quickly drop. We forgot in the first episode we get a look at a new infected.
Oh yeah,
We forgot about the stalker.
I forgot about that scene. Yeah, that was kind of cool.
We really don't have to talk more about it other than hey, that's cool.
Yeah, they're
a video game enemy is
that
that is very memorable from the game. The second game is like, oh shit.
No, I think that's something they've tried to establish too with these first two episodes. Is that like?
No, go ahead.
Oh, is that
Finish your
yeah?
thought.
It's just not. These things are not just clickers and bloaters anymore. It's like
Right.
we have much more of a hive mind. We have.
Yeah, what's the infected that releases like the gas and explodes and burns you? Fuck that guy.
Croaker? No.
It might be because that's kind of like the sound they make. They were like always like, coughing. They had something stuck in their throat.
Runners, stalkers, clickers, shamblers,
Shamblers. Yeah.
and bloaters, and ooh, I didn't even think about when we get to see the Rat King. That'll be wild.
Yeah. Well, if it happens this season, we'll see.
Yeah, it might not be this season. What did you think about Abby and her crew? Like, how do you feel about them as a whole?
It's weird. I'm obviously sold on the actress whose name I'll forget. Who's
Caitlin Devers.
Yep. No, it was in Intergalactic.
Oh,
who's reprising her role as the same character in the game. But no, I think there's not a lot to work with here yet.
Tati Gabrielle.
And I will say, like from the second game, Owen instantly becomes one of my favorite characters in the game. So yeah, not quite sold on him yet. Manny is played by the same actor that was in just Captain America. I just saw her a few months ago, but no, I think they seem fine to me. They seem just like the crew, like fuck Mel because she's just annoying.
Yeah,
and
she's
annoying in this too. So it's too early to say, and we know we're gonna see more of them. So
yeah, I am like, it's not killing me, but I do kind of wish Caitlyn put on a little bit of muscle mass. Like, I know that's a silly thing to even bother with right now, but again, they made such a big point, and it is a big point of like the first time you see her, you know, she has this, in my opinion, kind of a cringy line of like, slowly, we will kill him slowly, right? And then like, you know, somebody who's obsessed for 5 years of killing this guy, and it made sense to me that in the game, when she's not, I don't know, practicing her shooting, she's working out, she's getting as prepared as she humanly possibly can to take on this guy whenever she fucking finds him. So it did, like, it's just like, it doesn't kill me, but it's one of those. I am less threatened by her. I'm just gonna say it because I'm a man. I'm slightly more attracted to her, and it just takes you out of it. It takes me out of it a little bit.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to say because I mean that might not be even like, again, they just might not have had a choice, right? They want Caitlyn for this role. She's not willing to go to whatever the Marvel gym trainers are that get all these actors for Marvel movies that get bulk up and look great. And yeah, maybe they're just like, well, we want the actress, but we'll just forgo it because we want Caitlyn to play this role.
And she's killing it. In fairness,
right.
She's
so
great.
I don't know. Like I said, that might not even have been a choice. It's just she's not going to do it. Or
very not fun fact about Caitlin Dever also is that apparently 10 days before she filmed a lot of this, her mom died in real life. So that's why I especially with her crying, like her like I am full of emotion scenes. Yeah, that shit's real.
Right.
That shit's authentic.
Right.
So she's doing a great job. But yeah, I mean, I was worried when I first saw, like, the very first time you see him, I was like, oh god, is this going to feel like a teen drama?
Right.
Just like with the, you know, but it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So Do you have any takeaways left?
Well, do we want to just briefly discuss, like, did you like Joel's actual death? Like, that was pretty, you got the shotgun to the knee. I will say I thought it was a nice touch. Very gruesome. Nice touch to see the golf club broken in half. You're like, oh my God, you were just like, you took the slowly thing to heart. And then obviously with the way she finally puts the into his neck.
And rewatching the scene, especially a lot of the, like when Ellie's coming up on her and she's just barehanding, punching.
Like, it did make me uncomfortable. Like, God damn
it is.
Man.
It definitely does not sit well with me. I just think the weaknesses was the weird, telling him how good he looks.
Yeah, a lot of weird little throwaway
and
lines.
then telling him why she did it.
Congrats on that.
That I other than that, the scene played out like just as expected, and I told you I just don't think Ashley Johnson did it better as far as the Ellie section and Ellie's reaction. That is like up there in my brain of something that will stick with me forever. Of just like that level, that
fucking kill you,
that tier of acting. But I did the added. This didn't happen in the game, but the sadness of just Ellie crawling over to him and just laying on him like that. Yeah, that was rough too. And
because like you said, I agree. Ashley did it better, but I won't hear Bella slander. I'm not on this podcast. She's doing great. She's fine. Anybody who's like she doesn't look like Ellie,
she acts like her so much. Even in what her first line in this is what it's like. Boom headshot or what, like when she's wrestling that guy in the barn.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's just that sarcastic, like that just like cocky attitude that Ellie has, and it makes Ellie annoying sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's like it's just there, and she sounds and acts like her so much. Even the when she has to confront the guy that confronted her, Seth, and he has to apologize and give her the sandwich. Is just like, that's like, I'm like, that's Ellie right there.
Yeah. Even though I was like, say you apologize to? Like, like the dad in me came out for a second. I was like, no. But yeah. So I will admit, to kind of wrap this up, I think so far I was a little more impressed with how season 1 was kind of laid out and written and stuff. I'm not going to pass judgment on season 2 yet, but you can tell like they're definitely trying to go for a bigger, more bombastic, more kind of mainstream feel to it. Maybe they realized that The Last of Us season 1 worked, so like obviously we talked about the budget, pushed that off the rails, and and so we got like a lot of questions like, where does this season end now? They've already gone out and said that the game will be at least 2 seasons. So, did they just cut it in half? How do they handle Ellie and Abby back and forth? Do we just kind of bounce, or do we get 1 episode's Abby, 1 episode's Ellie? We don't know. But what, 7 episodes this season?
Yeah. I think they're gonna do back and forth. Is just
like by episode or by
during an episode. We'll
okay.
get both. We'll get both sides, and hopefully maybe it'll. I don't know. I think I had the problem with how the first game was, but like the more and more I reflect on it, like how
you had a problem how the first game was.
The second game. The story was laid out with the Ellie story intersected by flashbacks with the Abby story intersected by flashbacks. I just felt a little like disjointed, and it left like cliffhangers like unresolved for so long that it got a little frustrating. But I more and more I appreciate
when you see the intention behind it.
Right? As I pull back more and more and have played the game now multiple times. I appreciate it more. But I do think, because we saw the trailer, we know like the museum scenes in this. We know Jeffrey Wright as Isaac is in this, and that is in the game timeline. That's Abby's story. That's very far. So I can imagine. We'll get the dual narratives here. We'll get the jump back and forth.
It's interesting. We've already passed the scene that everybody was like, when's this going to happen? How's this going to be? But it's like I'm thinking about the game, and like there's so many moments that I'm like, just even the end of that game, like the with the Abby and Ellie fighting. It's like that scene is going to be hard to watch, and like.
Right, and
like how cool is the skyscraper stuff going to be with Abby going across the top of the skyscrapers?
And
it's gonna be sweet.
The Ellie section was very long. It was like 15 hours or whatever. It's not like the story beats you can probably list on like one hand pretty much.
Right.
So I think it would be hard to do even an Ellie focused episode with a little bit of Joel flashbacks intertwined. So I think as long as they stay in the current timeline, which I don't think they'll do all the time, they'll have flashbacks. We'll get that Eugene episode.
Yeah.
Pedro is still going to be in a lot of scenes here. That I think they'll just be going back and forth. And I think that and again, if you're trying to establish, I wouldn't be surprised if next episode the opening is Ellie getting prepared in Jackson while we have Abby getting prepared in Seattle with the WLF.
I always forget that WLF Wolves, the Wolves.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Do you want to tell everybody real quick about how mad you were at me on Monday morning, or?
Sure, we can. We can end our discussion on a cute story here. The second episode was a big deal, as we just talked about. Excited, just beyond elated to talk to John about it. The only other Last of Us fan that is big as mine, as big as I am. My
podcast partner.
Yeah. We have a little putting range at work, so I take the putter and I put it on his chair like a little nod, like, we're,
So golf clubs, huh?
Yeah, we got to see Abby play golf the night before, and he comes in and the first thing is like, why is there a putter on my desk? I don't know what's going on. And then that instantly sent me off. I'm like, he would know if he just had watched it last night. And yeah, John didn't fucking watch it. Like, what a piece of garbage.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It was Easter. I have kids.
He can say it all he wants. You forgo sleep to watch the episode. They go to bed at 1 a.m. You're watching it at 1 a.m.
You need me focused and bright-eyed to consume it, all right? So I watched it at work the next day to make sure he wasn't mad at me for too long.
And this is not just like to this show, but very much this show is like the one thing now that keeps people to watch shows is the spoilers, obviously, and then just the water cooler talk. And when you can't have that, it just makes me mad.
Makes me so mad.
Mondays are a pain in the ass to begin with, and then when someone comes in and is not a true Last of Us fan, that just hurts.
I'm gonna watch every episode on Monday night now. Everyone.
But cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, we are officially there. We are at our longest podcast ever.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're 2 hours.
So
plus,
we
right?
will go right to the song. John, what did you pick?
I picked "Reach for the Summit" by Lena Raine.
Okay.
13 minutes long. Buckle up, or maybe like 11. But it's from Celeste. It's awesome.
Okay.
It builds. It's actually one of my workout songs. It's like a great little kind of just
Crescendo.
Yeah, well, it's just constantly moving. You're constantly kind of bopping, and yeah, it's good. Good stuff.
All right, we'll continue to mourn Earthblade, another game we really wanted to come out this year and is not ever. So, for those of you who stuck with this episode, we love you. If you didn't, we also love you. What a time! Video games, video game television. Wow.
Tigers beat the Padres 6-0 today.
Yeah, John can be happy.
Who's it that lives in who lives in California?
You need to get all our listeners straight.
Send me your addresses. Let me know where you live. I think we got Southern California fans. Hopefully they're not Padres fans.
But yeah, thank you again for listening. As always, take care of yourself. Don't be like in Wanderstop. Don't be burned out. Take care of yourself.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, same in Last of Us. Just like Joel, take care of yourself. You gotta do what you gotta do. You know.
Don't get brained.
Yeah. So, love you. We'll be back next week to talk more Last of Us, Expedition 33, Oblivion, and much, much more. And we'll see you then.
Later,
Bye.
y'all.
Bye.